There are few things in sports that carry the weight of an entire nation's pride, that kind of unbelievable pressure, and sometimes that profound heartbreak. Today, we're going to dive into the story of how one of Africa's biggest football giants saw their dream of the 2026 World Cup just vanish in the blink of an eye.
I mean, think about it. Years of preparation, right? Months of these absolutely grueling matches, and you've got the hopes of over 200 million people riding on your shoulders, and all of that, every single bit of it, came down to just a few heart-stopping seconds.
And there you have it. That's the stark, brutal fact at the very heart of this story. A single sentence that sent absolute shockwaves through the footballing world. So, to really get a handle on the impact of this, we've got to understand what was truly at stake. All right, so the final hurdle. To really feel the heartbreak, you have to get the stakes, right? This wasn't just another game, not by a long shot. This match was the final gatekeeper, the very last thing standing between Nigeria and a spot at the biggest tournament on the planet. For the Super Eagles, this was the end of a complete marathon. The African qualification process, it's one of the toughest in the entire world. It's this punishing campaign that tests teams to their absolute limit. Honestly, just reaching this final stage is a huge achievement, which of course only made those final moments even more intense. So, in this final showdown, you had two teams facing completely different kinds of pressure. In one corner, you've got Nigeria's Super Eagles, a real powerhouse, carrying the massive weight of national expectation. And in the other corner, the Leopards of DR Congo. They were the underdogs for sure, fighting for their own place in history and just itching to cause a huge upset. And the game itself, man, it was a tense, hard-fought battle. For 90 minutes and then all the way through extra time, neither side would give an inch. But when that final whistle finally blew, there was still no winner. The teams were completely deadlocked, and the match was headed for the most dramatic conclusion you can imagine. Just try to imagine the tension in that stadium. 120 minutes of football, and nothing could separate these two teams. The players are absolutely exhausted, the fans are literally on the edge of their seats, and now it all comes down to the cruelest, most dramatic decider in pretty much all of sports. Yep, it came down to a penalty shootout. It's just a pure test of nerve. At this point, it's not really about raw skill anymore. It's all about who can handle that crushing, unbelievable psychological pressure of having an entire nation's fate resting on a single kick of a ball. So this was it, the big moment, the moment where the dream would either live or die. 5 kicks for each team. It sounds like a simple formula, but it's an incredibly complex and emotional trial. You could feel the stadium fall silent as the whole world just held its breath. And that's the question, isn't it? The one just hanging in the air. Every single fan, every player, every person watching at home is holding their breath. Who's going to hold their nerve, and who is going to falter when it matters the most? You can practically feel the drama in every single one of these steps. That long, lonely walk from the center circle, the deafening silence just before the kick, and then the explosion of noise. For one team, it's pure elation, and for the other, just utter despair. And in the end, Nigeria blinked. DR Congo, they seized their moment. They were clinical, converting their penalties and booking their ticket to the 2026 World Cup. And just like that, for the Super Eagles, the dream was over. Okay, so let's talk about what this means for Nigeria. The heartbreak on the pitch was immediate. You could see it. But the fallout from a loss like this, it's massive, and it's long-lasting. So what does it actually mean for a football-obsessed nation like Nigeria to miss out on the world's biggest stage? And you know what makes this thing even more? It's this number, 48. That's how many teams are going to be competing in the newly expanded 2026 tournament. So with more spots up for grabs than ever before, Nigeria's absence, well, it just feels particularly painful. The impact is it's profound. First off, it's a huge blow to national pride. It's an incredible source of disappointment for millions of passionate fans, both at home and all around the world. It's a massive missed opportunity to show off their talent on the biggest stage. And, well, it forces a period of really deep, soul-searching reflection for the entire footballing federation. And so here we are, right back where we started, with that simple but devastating sentence. It's a statement that's going to echo in Nigerian football for years to come. It's a moment that really defines an entire era. And all of this leaves us with one final critical question. The path forward is definitely uncertain, and the disappointment is very, very real. So where do they go from here? For the Super Eagles and their millions of fans, the long, hard journey to answer that question, well, it begins right now.